name is Joseph Patterson. Welcome to One Jamaica TV. This is the place of choice for all who love this country and want to see the nation succeed.
You said you're going around the island, but are people buying into this? And hopefully I'm not offending you.
So there are two parts to it. Let's deal with the first part about the sell to the Jamaican people. Right now, the Jamaican people are just trying to survive. Right now, it's bread and butter. It's waking up every morning knowing that the price of gas went up, the price of food is up, the price of water is up, the price. So right now, it's bread and butter. The people are not particularly interested in the details of what I just told you. What they do know in their gut, though, this is now in the DNA of our people. In their gut, they now know that what they have been following for 78 years is not working. In their gut, they now know that the PNP and the JLP is a sellout. In their gut, they know that they want something different. And that something happens to now be the UIC. Now, when I created the UIC 10 years ago, I started working on this. When I created the UIC, I knew that this day was going to come. The breaking point was going to come. What I feared is that a strong man, a dictatorship might arise. And so I planned to carefully build a model that would steer us away from that, protect our individual freedom, but give us a governance model that will bring economic prosperity and social prosperity to the people. So to your question, the Jamaican people don't care about the nuances. They just want change. Now, what we've done in our manifesto is not just talk about constitutional reform. We have some basic changes for them. For example, which the Prime Minister is now borrowing. They're borrowing heavily from our 10-point plan. Plan number one, we articulated back in 2001 that we must have a youth employment solution program. So the UIC designed a program called YES. The YES program ensures that every single graduate from high school who does not go on to college or to a trades program is immediately absorbed into an apprenticeship program where they are paid to work, okay, in a particular job, whether it's plumbing, carpentry, government, police, army, whatever it is. They're not allowed to be available to the gangs. They're immediately taken and they're into an apprenticeship program, immediate employment right away. The Prime Minister is now modifying that and trying to take that on. I would be very happy if he would do it truly, but I know it's only politics they're playing. But we're going to do it truly. Secondarily, we develop what we call work fear. Many Jamaicans, adult Jamaicans, are unemployed because they can't find work, and our country has not created an environment for work for them. We're going to bring a work fear program in where every Jamaican who is unemployed and whose children are in the school system will have an opportunity to work in either the agro sector, for example, or in the tourism sector. And we have a whole design for that, which I could get into. Then we have other policies and programs. For example, we're going to change the tax system. We're going to only have two taxes now. Tax number one, 10% on income from all sources, which will take care of the basic role of government. Tax number two, which is the GCT, which we're dedicating totally to poverty alleviation by making sure we have housing, education, nutrition, and healthcare for the poor so that they can actually now become a full part of the economic model and remove the scamming. We have a crime plan, which looks at a top-down structure that finds the criminals, the masterminds in government, in big business, because that's where they are.
Let me stop you there for a minute. Because I've been dying to get to this crime thing here, all right?
Dr. Diana, I have a question for Effort. Can she
Diana,
ask a question?
Okay, go ahead.
Let me tell you, I have a question. I have a lot of comment. Why would you want to wait until the end of your 5-year period to then run an election? Why would you not run it in your third or your fourth year? Since you're making all these dramatic and drastic changes to Constitution, I don't believe that a lot of people are going to want to. The average Jamaican is not going to be inclined to approve the changing of a constitution. Once you say constitution, everybody, say, huh? You want to change it? You seem to want to replace, not change. Replace. Totally. Yes. Do you not believe that it would be a better approach to give it to us in bits and pieces rather than all
or amendments along the way?
Well, no amendments. We're not making amendments. A waste of time, actually. In terms of the approach, watch me carefully. What we have done, you see, I understand the intricacies of what we're talking about. There's a lot here to unpack. So what we're doing in the first year is where we're going to argue and cuss and discuss, so that when we finish, even though the UIC would have developed a model constitution and would have gone around the island and shared it prior to us becoming elected, we still want to make sure we bring everybody, well, not everybody, but as many people into the process as possible. So now that we're government, we'll spend a year where this is going to be distilled throughout the society. So town hall meetings in Gimmelbit, in Milk River Bath, in Bluefields, in Central Kingston. We're going to have these discussions with the people so they understand. When we changed in 1962, the vast majority of Jamaicans had no say, no input, no understanding, no appreciation for what was being done to them. This time around, we're going to educate the people about good governance, about what it means to have a government that serves you as opposed to a government that seems to be your master. So we're going to have that dialogue and that training in the first year. Remember, we're not stopping, we're still going to address all the other.
But Joseph, you have to follow me. Sorry, follow me. I don't see you making government because you're selling the idea of changing the constitution. I am concerned that when you come to my community to say to us, your intention is to change this constitution of Jamaica, that all of us say we're not going to vote because all our rights gone right there. How do you get me to vote for you with all of this in train?
Right, so you're not here, right? You're not in Jamaica here, so you're not seeing.
Yes,
come on, she
lives in Jamaica. We don't.
So hold on. Me go around now. Everybody, if you go and ask people, everybody wants what I'm talking about. I've been to 13 of the 14 parishes so far. In the market, the people, and before me even open my mouth and say, Mr. Patterson, me see you on UIC Liberty TV, may I watch you? The people are ready for this. They don't want a baby step. They want a true revolution in Jamaica. Now, there are two types of revolution. There's the ballot or the bullet. I am trying to steer Jamaicans to the ballot. Right now, the powers that be have been pushing Jamaica towards the bullet. You see what's going on. The crime level is getting worse, more gruesome. The scamming is getting more. Young people are walking out of school now. Said, me not bother with that. So I am trying to get us to a revolution, but one which is a safe, transparent, and productive revolution that leaves us intact.
Yeah,
okay?
But I just have one thing. I'm just like, I love talking. You're the politician I'm talking to. But earlier you said
hold on,
that Jamaicans don't care. Okay.
Let's catch up with some comments because they're running away.
Yeah, they're running away. But just one thing before we get, you just said earlier that Jamaican people don't really care about, creating, they only care about other little things. But isn't that not transparency? Because if you're saying that you're only going to allow them to focus on the things that they need while working, based on my understanding, working on creating this new constitution, is that transparency? Do you believe?
No, what I said before is that the first order of business for the base for every Jamaican, no matter what, survival. So they're trying to survive right now. What I have done and what the UIC has done is to marry the issues. So the people are we're not wasting time talking about just constitution. We have married the constitution with their plights. So they're seeing the link. They're seeing how, for example, bad governance, which leads to corruption, leads to economic depression, right? So they're seeing the links with all of that. I'm not just a fool championing constitution, because I would never get it.
All right.
Yeah. That makes sense though.
I understand that. So
Althea McHale says that's a great story. A book should be written. I think it would benefit many. Carl says
it's so
refreshing to hear new blood and ideas in Jamaican politics. Althea says, hence the two parties by two cousins, that they were the upper echelon, I think, at that stage. Lorna Hamilton Blackwood said, Joseph, you did not fail. They did not have a space for you. Plans for you. You perform under pressure. Anissa says it was systematic racism. Paulette Chambers says, this is so true. Every teacher had private lessons for common entrance. Carl Anderson Dillon says, unfortunately, that's not unique to your mother when you spoke about the traits. All working and single mother faces these challenges also. Beverly Brown said you didn't fail. You had a setback which had set you up for a comeback. Lorna says, I'm so proud of you. Excellent products of a single mom. These women did so much with so little. If they had the opportunity of good education, they would be finance minister of a few nations. Carl says, bravo, I will become a citizen just to vote for you. Millicent says, you have the ability to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, not an elitist. Sadly, many in Jamaica are very elitist. It might be difficult to get the needed support. Carl says the Constitution has to be replaced. Therein lies the danger. Millicent asks, why was it a danger? Carl says, somewhat following the American system. What about term limits? Are there term limits? That's a question for you, Joe, but you can take it when I finish here. George says, well done, my brother. I'm very proud that that's what good Jamaica is made of. And I run down to Sandy, who says that she had to leave. Johnny says, constitutions are not replaced. They are amended to address inequalities and better aligned laws and policies, representatives of the citizens, the nation, and its ability to thrive. That's a second question for you, replace versus an amendment. Well said, man, absolutely true. Joni says, what are amendments? A waste of time. Joni says, spending a year as time marches on, how will that work in order to keep competitive at home and abroad? And Carl says, Diana, William and Kate's visit to Jamaica was not well received. Why wouldn't Jamaicans want to get rid themselves of the system they believe is oppressive, right or wrong? But we'll get back to the other questions. Thanks.
All right. So me now, I'm having a little difficulty with the replacing too. So you know, but I already asked you that question, and you okay. So you mentioned 2001 as a time when you came up with your manifesto, your first manifesto. It means that you've been on the ballot for 20 years. Is that what you're saying?
No.
Okay.
No,
when was?
So if I said 2001, I aired. I returned to Jamaica from Canada in 2011, and by 2012, I started putting the UIC together.
Oh, together.
So it's not a matter of running for office, because running for office comes after. The most important thing is that you have done the work, the analysis, the structure, and so on. So my first time on the ballot as an independent was in 2016 when I ran for Northeast St. Elizabeth as an independent candidate. That was a very eye-opening experience. I got underground knowledge. I went through the full process, got beaten up here and there. I saw how the politics work. And I had to do that because you only can learn from experience. Failing the common entrance taught me things. Failing to win in Northeast St. Elizabeth taught me things. And it was a setup for a comeback, as one of your writers said. And so I took the time. In 2020, I did not participate in the election because I thought that the government was being disingenuous. They told us that we needed to stay home because of this crisis, pandemic, and then they called an election in the middle when they had more than 9 months to wait to better understand. So I advised the Prime Minister, I said, listen, don't call an election now. Instead, let us use the 9 months to better prepare Jamaicans to defend their lives and their livelihoods, as opposed to putting us at risk at this point. Of course, you wouldn't listen to me, but I stuck to my position, and the UIC did not participate in those elections.
Okay.
That's why, because I wanted to ask you what were the numbers in terms of, because I didn't realize that you didn't run in 2020, because I wanted to see what was 2016 versus 2020. You know, but there's no number.
They didn't participate in a matter of principle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Someone just said, and I tend to look at history. I don't remember any government unless they change to communist, right? Communism that has replaced their constitution. And you can help me, right? Most times, like the United States, for example, put in amendments that are very, very strong, that overpowers the original constitution. And so, you know, how, I mean, I asked this already, but I'm trying to understand.
Perplexed.
Yes, I'm kind of perplexed about.
Let's talk about it.
Replacing.
Let's talk about this carefully.
Yeah.
What we're talking here about is a rebirth of Jamaica. In fact, maybe the first birth of Jamaica. We're not talking about trying to get what we have now to work, because what we have now is not workable. And I wish I had the time to explain to you why it's not, the details of why it's not workable. And it's not working. It hasn't worked for 78 years. Now look at it carefully. The constitution we have now is an order in council. It's not even a constitution. It's not written by the Jamaican people for the Jamaican people to achieve the aspirations of the Jamaican people. It's a document given to those who first organized our so-called independent Jamaica by our colonial masters. Let me ask you a question. If you were robbed, beaten, abducted, and raped by somebody, and at the end of it, they say, here's a document by which to live your life, would you accept that? It makes no sense.
Well,
So
it depends.
Okay, so I think for a large majority of us, if we thought about it, we wouldn't want to accept it. But this is the UIC's position. That document does not represent Jamaica. That document does not represent the best thoughts of Jamaicans. We want to create a constitution that is truly us, that represents us. The American Constitution represents the thought process and the mindset of their founding fathers. So what we have today represents the mindset of our colonial masters. And that's why we have all the problems we have. For example, it sets up a corrupt structure whereby the leaders of both parties controls the Senate and the leader of the governing party controls the legislature. It does not allow for proper checks and balances, nor does it ensure that we have an administration that is going to be held accountable for the basic things like collecting your garbage, ensuring your police service, it's a force.
And making sure that guns are issued to the right persons.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
but
So 1 second, Michelle, we have to now step back as a people. That's what I'm asking us to do. Let's step back from this. If we try to amend this constitution, it's going to take us years, and we're going to amend one piece, but you leave so many bad pieces in place. We must, I submit to you, we must look at a Jamaican constitution for the people of Jamaica.
And we know your submission, but I will jump to comments. Joni says there's nothing wrong with radical change. However, Rome was not built in a day. Paulette Chamber says great. Ras Peter Miller says true leadership. We will remove the queen. Paulette says UIC sounds like a great plan, but there will be lots of obstacles. But Jamaica needs a radical change. Millicent Gardner person says America replaced the British monarchy. That in and of itself was the beginning of a new constitution. Joni says it sounds like the Stockholm syndrome. However, do we want to throw the proverbial baby out with the bathwater? Carl says an amendment adds or clarifies something, usually to appease modern day thinking. It adds teeth or substitute vagueness. Millicent says I absolutely agree. A new constitution is needed. Althea says, have you given time on other media to do what you are doing now?
Can I speak to that?
Given time?
Yeah, you could be. Yeah.
I want to speak to that. This is important. Since the UIC became Jamaica's third official party on the 2nd of December, 2019. We went to the ECJ almost a year before that with a full document, our constitution, our registration documents, and they were shocked that anybody would come with this. Here's why they were shocked. They brought in new laws in 2017-18, new laws that eliminated all third parties. Most Jamaicans don't know this. These new laws made every third party null and void, and only the two major parties qualified under the new laws to be a party. The UIC then pursued
that was the electoral office.
Yes. So we used to have what is called the Electoral Office of Jamaica, and then under the behest of their foreign master, they created what is now called the Electoral Commission of Jamaica, which is stacked by partisans. Both sides have control of this body. Okay, if you look at go check it out on the website. You'll see it's peer party people running this Electoral Commission. They then passed laws that eliminated NDM, Marcus Garvey, PPP, and all the other fringe parties you know about. They were all completely disbanded by this new law. The UIC then challenged this And for 10 months, we battled them bitterly until they finally had to give in and gave us registration as the official third political party in Jamaica. So now we're official.
That's good.
Bravo. But there was another one.
All right, hold on. Before we go any further, we have 10 minutes. And I see that.
Oh my God, 10 minutes?
Hand on and there's questions and comments here.
I want to quickly answer this.
So did you get any audience?
Right?
Hold on, yes.
We know the PSOJ and the two, I'm going to summarize it. The PSOJ leadership and the two parties have colluded to keep the UIC out of the media. So the only time you hear the UIC is if they have something negative they want to share. Outside of that, we're not given any airtime on any of the platforms. And so we have had to use social media, word of mouth, and in the streets.
So Joseph, it looked like you owe us the whole of your PR money and your public announcement money you need to send to us, but they're probably going to lock we down too.
I have one last question, please. One last question, which I've seen since I was young. Usually you see after a while that these parties, the third parties, end up joining one of the major parties. Do you think that will ever happen? Let me know if that's in.
Never. The UIC is committed to changing the system that those two parties want to keep. The PSOJ want the system to remain, the GLP and PNP want the system to remain, and the colonial masters want the system to remain.
What is the criteria to consider to run as an MP in your party?
Say that again?
Judge is asking, what is the criteria to be considered to run as an MP in your party?
Right. You have to
qualify.
You have to subscribe to the vision, mission, and values of the UIC and have the competences of somebody that can manage and lead a team of people.
Aye.
Like we can manage.
Leo.
No, I want to hear the comments. I want to hear the comments.
Is there any comments on YouTube? Because we had not.
I didn't see any, but Johnny said, in order to lift and shift, are there things in place to ensure the transition does not affect the lives of the residents, government programs, industries of products and services at home and abroad, regionally and universally? That was a question.
Okay, well, in general, the UIC has an economic program that protects all Jamaicans by empowering them to do their best.
All right. And consistent with probably the last article I read, what about free education at tertiary level?
Right. So the UIC's model of education ensures that all the way up to a PhD, once you are competent, so it's a meritocracy. So once you have the capabilities, you'll be funded all the way through to a PhD. So there's no disruption. So the child is not held back because of his parents' economic means. If the parents can afford, they will pay a part of the fees. If they can't afford it, you're still going to get the full help to go all, because Jamaica needs to focus on building its human capital. That's critical.
Johnny says, what does all Jamaican
we have some comments. We have some comments on YouTube.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, we do?
Beverly Frey says, very inspirational story. What is the focus of your third party? We already discussed that. Is it based on capitalism, socialism, mixture, or something else? Since you are so adept in at creating something new.
It's based on protecting individual liberty and promoting personal responsibility.
Okay. Joseph, accountability.
Thanks for the recognition of the contribution of the women of the society. Great, I heard that part. And then we have a gentleman by the name of Keith Romans. We will use the community capital clubs. He also says this is not about ideology, more about pragmatism. And then he made a comment, come on, guys, USA replace their constitution. All right. So,
okay.
Yes, Keith Romans is the gentleman who got me in touch with Joseph Patterson. And
okay.
Thanks.
Okay. Johnny said, what does competence entail? Johnny maybe want to go run for office, so she wants
to. I mean, basically, you must have demonstrated competence in managing a group of people at some level, whether it's in a charity or in a corporate entity. Demonstrating you can organize.
Leo.
Come on, Leo. Come on, Ron. Come run.
Carl says Jamaican press isn't free. They're controlled by the government. It's a question, but it's probably rhetorical. VM Hesop says, if Dr. Diana, would you be interested, since we have a political party as well, we have a political party in the metaverse. It's called Jamaica First. And I'm in fact the president of that party, and these are the members of the party. So VM Hesop is saying that since our party not going forward, whether or not, but I'd have to discuss it with the constituents.
Well, Dr. Diane, please tell your constituents I would be happy to have all of you join the UIC.
I'm asking this question too, because someone, just take 1 minute and answer this. Someone said to me this morning, history is not in your favor. What does that mean?
It simply means that based on the history of third parties, they expect us to fail. But based on my own personal history, that's not going to happen.
Failure is not an option.
Failure is not an option. No, I'm in it.
I love you because you failed the common entrance and you failed the common entrance. I love you because of that. And you went to a secondary school. I love that. That's me too. Okay, so I tell those stories all the time. So I'm glad here.
I'm glad they came on.
Yes.
I'm glad they came on because I get to hear a little more about, because I just heard about the UIC, so I got a little more insight.
One last story. One last 30-second story. When I went to St. Andrew Technical High School, we used to have a high failure rate of girls in math. So I created the math club, the first ever math club at the school. And we raised our pass rate from in the 30s up to the 60s and 70s during my tenure at the math club. Because I believe that everybody can learn and everybody must learn. But the key thing is the method by which you get people to learn.
Joseph, I like that story, especially in light of the CXC results and the failing trends at Jamaica, in terms of math, is something that we need to look at. But in terms of other comments, Alta's asking if we could give him another day for this.
Yes, because we haven't talked to you about economy. We haven't talked about crime. Come back next week.
Judge Brown says, how can we become engaged from the diaspora? Can we lobby for you? So those are questions you'll have to come prepared. Millicent said, very enlightening discussion. Please invite him back as he progresses. And Carl says, a valid alternative, Dr. Dana. As progressive a lady such as yourself, Jamaica needs you badly. Joe says, Paulette, very informative. I'm not taking on Carl. Make him sit down up there. Johnny says, is there a way to determine the best vlog and a schedule for when you'd be on these shows? Not all blogs are appropriate. And everybody's saying, yes, please, to coming back. So I guess you're on next week again.
One Jamaica TV.